Prince Harry has once again set off shockwaves inside the royal family. And this time, his words may have done more damage than ever before. In a brand new interview, Harry opened up about his past, his father, and his so-called truth. But instead of peace, his comments have reignited the tension between him and Buckingham Palace. A conscience without regret. Harry says he has no regrets. Not about Spare. Not about the Oprah interview. Not about the Netflix series. Not even about the lawsuits and the years of public fallout. According to him, it wasn't about revenge, it was about setting the record straight. And if given the chance, he insists he would do it all over again. But here's the contradiction. Just days before this interview, he was seen reconnecting with his father, King Charles, who is still battling cancer. To many, the timing couldn't have been worse. No regrets. When pressed on whether he regrets exposing private family matters, Harry's answer was sharp and simple no. He claims his words weren't meant to destroy, but to reveal the truth. Yet insiders at the palace describe his remarks as tone-deaf and even hurtful, especially given Charles's fragile health. Harry then added that his focus this year is on his father, wanting to spend more time with him. But to critics, that sounded less like compassion and more like a reminder that the king's time may be limited. One palace insider put it bluntly, all he's doing is twisting the knife. The ongoing cycle. This is where the cycle continues. Each time Harry hints at reconciliation, another explosive comment drags the feud back into the spotlight. Even some of his supporters admit the contradiction. How can you call for peace while reigniting old battles in front of the cameras? Harry, however, insists it isn't revenge, it's accountability. But the truth he shares always seems to reopen the deepest wounds. Meghan's silence. Meghan Markle's presence in all of this? Practically invisible. The only mention of her came from a quote she once told him. The truth is the most efficient way to live. And Harry has clearly taken that advice to heart. But the question remains, is this truth healing, or is it just fueling the fire? A mission in Ukraine. Interestingly, the backdrop to this controversial interview wasn't London or Los Angeles. It was Ukraine. Harry was photographed riding trains, visiting war memorials, and meeting wounded soldiers. The mission was tied to his Invictus Games, and on paper, it looked noble. But when the interview aired, many questioned the timing. Was this about charity, or was it carefully crafted PR? The somber images, the walking stick, the quiet memorials, the serious train rides, all felt deliberate. Harry insists he hates staged photos. But the optics told another story, unbothered. Harry even revealed his personal motto, unbothered. He said Ukrainians admired him for being independent, for doing things his own way. To some, this sounded admirable. To others, it came across as arrogant. And once again, he tied his spirit back to Princess Diana, saying he inherited her fire, her independence, her refusal to conform. Critics argue he uses his mother's memory whenever he needs to sway public opinion. But Harry insists it's his truth, his legacy. Happy but defensive. Harry also claimed he is happy, not just surviving, but fulfilled. He says the media paints him as bitter and lost, but that the reality is the opposite. Yet, the more he defends his happiness, the less convincing it sounds. He once again pointed the finger at the press, accusing them of twisting every word and making reconciliation impossible. His lawsuits against major tabloids, he says, are not about money, but about principle. But here's the paradox. Every time Harry attacks the press, he fuels another cycle of headlines. Palace reaction. Inside the palace, frustration is reaching new heights. One insider described his latest remarks as a gut punch, especially his hints about Charles's health. Another said the family felt blindsided, betrayed even, that after a rare moment of reunion, Harry turned it into yet another media storm. Then came his final blow. You cannot have reconciliation before you have truth. To the public, it sounds noble. But to the royals, it sounds like an accusation, as if Harry alone owns the truth, while the rest of them live in denial. Closing thoughts. And so, the cycle continues. Harry says he wants peace. Yet every time he speaks, he ignites a fresh round of conflict. He insists his book Spare was necessary. He insists he'd do it all again. And he insists he's happy. But the reality is hard to ignore. Each new headline drives the wedge deeper and the rift wider. At this point, Prince Harry's greatest enemy may not be the press. It may not even be the palace. It may be his own words.